Hello and welcome back to the channel once again for another Doctor Who Flux initial reaction, this time for the penultimate episode, episode 5, or chapter 5, Survivors of the Flux. And spoiler warning as well, just before I get into things, there will be spoilers for this episode and the next time trailer for next week in this video. So where to start? I guess let's go with Unit first. Okay, so Kate Stewart was back in this story. We found that out in the next time trailer for last week. There wasn't quite as much of her in this story as we might have hoped for, but the stuff we did get was so good. I mean, that monologue she gave to the Grand Serpent where she was effectively sort of taking him down and saying, oh, actually, no, I have got the upper hand on you. I know who you are. I can expose you. That was just a masterclass in acting from Gemma Redgrave. Such a commanding performance there. She's just so great in the role, and it's so great to see her back. And already I think that's the best material she's ever been given as Kate. It was just so much more than anything she really got to do in the Moffat era, to be honest. Really elevated that character and made her seem so commanding and so in control. So that was really great to see. Obviously more of her next week and presumably in at least one of the specials as well. But taking Unit as a whole more generally, I loved the sort of Unit origin story we got in this episode. I mean, yes, it wasn't sort of treading on the toes of anything that had gone before in the classic series, because of course in the classic series, Unit did have its own sort of origin story, which was what the Brigadier, I think, and possibly some others, sort of coming up with the idea of Unit and forming Unit in response to the events of the Web of Fear, the Yeti on the London Underground and all that sort of stuff, and the Great Intelligence. Craig Parkinson was fantastic as ever. You can really see why they cast him in this role now, because if you know his character from Line of Duty, Dot, who essentially just sort of works his way into the police and into the organisation and sort of is in the right place at the right time and working to his own ends. That is essentially what he was doing here as well, just with Unit. So that was really great to see. And he was fantastic as well. Such a slimy, evil character. A really great new villain, the Grand Serpent. So it was really great to see him and this origin story for Unit, because, you know, we've had the origin of the Time Lords last series, and this was a sort of equivalent thing for this series, the origins of Unit. So that was really great to see. And the way that Unit being suspended and put under review way back in Resolution, the way that came into things as well, with the Grand Serpent effectively shutting things down, we finally get the explanation, you know, as to why that happened. It was really satisfying to watch that come together. I mean, I think surely next we've got to go on to Tecteun. Tecteun is back. Oh my goodness. It was everything I'd hoped for really with her. And it was really shocking at the end when she just got killed and dispatched so quickly by a swarm. That was a really shocking moment, really, because she'd just been reintroduced, you know. Barbara Flynn, again, a masterclass in acting. She was just amazing, had so much command, and was a real sort of foil for the Doctor, and really put the Doctor through her paces, and with all these counter-arguments about, oh, you know, your companions are just like your experiments, you're like me. All these sorts of analogies and parallels and things that she was trying to bring out between herself and the Doctor. That was, again, also really satisfying to watch. And I'm glad that we got to meet her again in this episode rather than in the finale, and that the reveal that she is Tecteun came in this episode again rather than in the finale. And then the whole thing about the Doctor's hidden memories, that's the thing that's been held back for the finale instead, which I think makes a lot of sense. You know, if you're going to introduce Tecteun back into the show, have her in your penultimate episode rather than the final episode, just to give her and her story some space to breathe, really. But that was, again, really satisfying to watch come together, to get the flashbacks back to the Timeless Children when she found the Timeless Child, to have confirmation as well that, you know, all this stuff definitely is pre-Hartnell, that Tecteun, you know, is a real person, that everything the Master told the Doctor was not a lie, it was true, because there have been so many Timeless Child deniers that have been saying, no, it can't be true because the Master lies, all this stuff in the Matrix, no. But no, it's true. Which obviously it was going to be. I never doubted that myself. But it's just good that that has finally been put to rest, I think, in this story. You know, you cannot deny now that Ruth is a pre-Hartnell Doctor. You cannot say, you know, this is season 6B or something else going on here. I also love the idea of the name Division sort of relating to this idea of a divide between universes and all this sort of multiversal sort of stuff. That was really interesting and sort of untapped potential for Doctor Who, really, to bring multiverses and all that sort of stuff into the TV show at least. So that was really great to see. And of course, to also get clarity on Joseph Williamson and what he's been up to. And, it basically was just what we thought all along, which is that he's had some sort of premonition about the destruction of the universe and he's acted accordingly by building his tunnels. It was great to get the payoff from that. I think just in general in this story, it was really great to get little bits of payoff for things that have been set up in the first 4 episodes. For example, the Sontarans appearing at the end. That was a really great moment, and not only because it ties back to War of the Sontarans and earlier in the series, but also because, okay, it's not going to be a solo Sontaran finale, but it's the closest thing we've got to a solo Sontaran finale in the new series, and it gave me massive flashbacks to the Invasion of Time from the classic series, where they've sort of been waiting in the wings all this time, and then all of a sudden they just come out and bam with their guns and stuff. Fantastic. Really, really enjoyed that, and really looking forward to next week to seeing, what role they play, I guess. I mean, obviously as well, we've got Daleks and Cybermen next week, as I think lots of people predicted, really. I mean, it looks like they've basically thrown everything at the finale. They've said, we're going to have every monster, all your big bads, your Daleks, your Cybermen, your Sontarans, possibly the Weeping Angels again as well, I don't know. And it just has that massive sort of end-of-term sort of vibe to it, I suppose, from what we know of it so far, with all these elements coming together, and very fittingly as well for the end of the 13th Doctor's era. I mean, obviously as well, we've got the specials next year, but this is your sort of equivalent of Stolen Earth Journey's End, from Series 4, from the 10th Doctor's era, or Name of the Doctor from the 11th Doctor's era. The final big climactic universe-ending finale with your specials then as a bit of a coda to that. I mean, I've barely mentioned Yaz and Dan and Jericho actually, so I should probably just mention them very, very quickly. Suffice to say, I loved what we got from them in this story. Just generally, it was great to see the 3 of them together, working together, doing their thing, and going around the world and visiting lots of different places. That old Chibnall trope of globe-trotting and having loads of different locations across the world featured within the same story. Yeah, I think overall it was just a really satisfying watch. Really satisfying to watch things that have been set up, in 4 episodes, essentially just coming together, callbacks to the Timeless Children with Tecteun and Fugitive Doctor and all that sort of stuff, and Division, and finally getting some answers there, getting some answers about Joseph Williamson as well and what he's been up to these past few episodes. I guess it will all, to some extent, depend on the execution of the finale next week as to how this series is perceived as a whole. But whatever the case, I've really enjoyed it so far myself. I've had a great time with all 5 of these episodes. It's been a great ride. And just really looking forward to seeing how they tie it all together and what gets carried over into the 2022 specials. And the Doctor's missing memories as well. What's going to happen there? How much are they going to reveal, and what sort of stuff are they going to reveal? Because we've had Tecteun now, her story is done, so there must be more stuff to come, I guess. Maybe Fugitive Doctor themed, and what she got up to back in her Division days. But I've rambled on long enough. What did you think of this story? I'd love to hear your initial thoughts and feelings and theories in the comments section below. Please do like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you're new for more Doctor Who Flux related content. But until the next one, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.